Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of The Loading Zone. My name is Rebaun Nameng, your financial advisor. Apologies for sending this out a day late. I haven't been feeling too well for the past couple of days, but I'm out now and ready for action. Quick disclaimer, as per usual, these videos do not constitute financial advice and should not be seen or treated as such. For adequate and holistic advice, please seek the counsel of a registered advisor or hit me up in my professional capacity. I may save you some money. With that out of the way, today we'll be diving into the fourth asset class, and that is equities or shares, depending on which school you went to. When one invests into equities, they are essentially buying a stake or a portion of a business. There's different types of shares that one can get out there, and they should be appearing on this side. I hope they are. For the purpose of this episode, I don't want us to dive into the different types of shares, but what I want you to understand is that essentially you have a level of ownership in a business when you invest in equity. Let's make things simple and think of the idea of a tuck shop in your neighborhood. So I'd have a garage and I decide that I am going to start selling everyday items from this particular garage. I may even go ahead and register this business, and after a while I realize that I actually don't have enough money to buy stock and whatnot. I go to my friend, we'll call him Zakes for the purpose of this video, and I borrow this money from him. But Zakes then comes and says, nah, you know what? I'm actually not borrowing you this money. I want a share in this business. Let's say we both agree, for simplicity's sake, that we get a 50-50 split. So Zakes now owns 50% of this business, which means he also gets 50% of the profits. Simple, ne? So the first mistake we could make as business owners now is to think of the money that the tuck shop makes as our money. Even if we work every day in this business, what should happen is that we should earn a salary for our labor. So still carrying on with the same example, how does one make money in equity? There are two ways, and that is through capital appreciation or through dividends. Let's start with dividends. Dividends is basically profits that we get paid as shareholders from the business. So this tuck shop of ours maybe makes 80K on a monthly basis, and after paying salaries, costs of goods, taxation, buying stock, electricity, etc., we are left with 30K as profit. In order for our business to grow, we don't pay ourselves these dividends, but we start to save up so that this company can grow. Maybe get a second tuck shop, or even becomes a mini supermarket, in fact. This is usually what happens when you buy shares in the stock exchange. Although you have the right to dividends, you don't always get paid dividends every year. Dividends, it's usually paid every quarter, but some companies will pay it on a yearly basis. Your dividends may also not be the same as what you previously got the previous quarter or the previous year. I mean, think of it this way. If my neighbor now sees that I am thriving in this tuck shop business and believes that he too has the skill set to push this business, he can easily transform his garage into a tuck shop. So now there will be competition, which affects the sales, which ultimately affects the profits and ultimately the dividends as well. Sometimes I may not even be in a position to take dividends at the end of the year because of the lack of profits that we actually make. So although dividends is one way that a shareholder can make money through shares, there are times when dividends may not be paid at all. And this is not always a negative reason as to why shareholders don't get paid dividends. I mean, as mentioned before, maybe there's expansion plans in this business and they don't leave room for dividends to actually be paid out. Maybe this tuck shop business has the potential to be a string of tuck shops throughout the whole of Africa. You never know. Maybe I'm oversimplifying things, I know, but I'm trying to get you to get the picture. So the second way that a shareholder can make money through shares is by capital appreciation. The best way to explain this is by saying my little tuck shop, which started in my garage, has now grown, and it has allowed me to buy 2 properties in my neighborhood, which I have now transformed into a mini supermarket. Years later, my partner Zakes now comes and says, you know what, I want to retire in the Mauritius. I'm tired of this business. I want to sell my shares. Selling his shares for 20,000 now wouldn't make sense, as the business has grown into a lovely mini supermarket. This is essentially where capital appreciation comes in. This is based purely on what the buyer feels is a fair price for the 50% of the supermarket, or what we can both agree on. Now, when buying shares in the stock market, the price changes based on various factors such as demand and supply, bad or good PR, speculations, economic factors, and even in some instances, politics as well. Fluctuation up and down. It can get tricky when we talk about buying shares in a stock exchange, in a sense that there are so many factors that would influence the price that are working all the time together simultaneously. And trying to time the market when the price will go up and down can result in a financial loss. The number one rule of investing in the stock market, or shares or equities, is to stay the course. Essentially, you need to give your tuck shop a chance to become a supermarket, and that sometimes takes time. What I'm basically trying to say is, don't try to time the market. You will get hurt. There are various people out there who may be buying and selling shares on a daily basis, and it's working for them and they're probably killing it. All I'm saying is, you can lose everything. Think of Mixit, for instance. 2006, when I was in matric, it was like the biggest social, probably the only one that I was aware of at the time. But where's Mixit now? Taking a long-term approach when investing in equities is one of the ways to mitigate risk of losing money on your investment. I mean, if you look at the global recession, for instance, certain companies weren't doing well during this period, but they did bounce back. In the same breath, other companies are no longer there because of the global recession. So in a nutshell, the key takeaways from this episode are that shares are basically you owning a stake in a business. There's 2 ways of making money through shares, and that is through capital appreciation and through getting dividends. Shares fluctuate all the time, and one should not try to time the market. Lastly, shares are meant to be long-term investments. I personally would recommend a 5 to 10 year approach, 10 years to be on the safe side. With that said, I don't want to overload you with too much information this week. This is where we will be wrapping things up. Thank you for tuning in. And if this is your first time, thank you for taking time to check this episode out. Please like, subscribe, and share with your friends. And for those who regularly check this out, I really appreciate it, man. Have yourself a lovely week ahead. My name is Rabao Nameng. Let's get loaded.